Happy New
Durag Diaries. Yo, what's good, people? Welcome back. We're here for another boardroom talks. And as you can see, not many of us have happy faces today. This is one of those ones where it's not going to be a nice one. It's one of those boardroom meetings where probably a lot of harsh words are going to be said. There's not going to be so much niceties, but we're here because it needed to be done. Now, as you can see, we've got a plethora of people joined here today, the usual group. But first of all, I need to make it very clear, if you want to support these guys, their channels is in the description. So make sure you show some love. Go to their channels in the description. Spurs Kings TV for Ash, J-Rated R. You just hit him on Twitter. He's always around and active. Mr. Box Office TV for Alex. And then Deji Spurs for Deji. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with their faces by now. But this meeting, I did want to conduct a little bit differently because, as we know, we are pretty much at breaking point. We're pretty much at the point where it's like, Spurs are in a crisis. How bad of a crisis is this? Well, that's what I'm looking to get down to the bottom of. So, yeah, man, as we know, our beloved club is not in a good place. And I just want to make it very clear to everyone going forward with this stream. Can I just get, like, if you're Ange in, can I just get a raised hands? Just so I'm clear. I'm Ange in. So, okay. We've had a man fall out. We've had a man fall out since the last year. So it's good to make it clear. It's good to make it very clear at the start. First of all, I guess to go to Ange.
Can I just asterisk that with, I'm not necessarily Ange in purely based on what he's done in the job. I'm Ange in because of to change the manager and to get a new manager, the list of potential options would be much greater in the summer.
That's what we actually get around to.
So essentially,
that's what I want to get around to. So before we even get into anything in the video, that's what I just want to clarify where everyone is at, why they're at that stage. And I guess for everyone to come in and make it very clear what they want from the club and what they want to see future with change. So Ash, big up to Jacob, just joined in, United Spurs of America. Make sure you guys head over to his channel, show some love over there. But yeah, so Ash, first of all, as we've seen, the last time we had this meeting was about a month ago, and I'm pretty sure you still had the faith in Ange.
Yeah, I did, man.
Talk to us through that, the change in your idea, and what brought you to this point.
First of all, Merry New Year to everyone. Big up the chat each and every time. People watching the playback, big yourselves up. But yeah, look, let's get to it, man. Look, with Ange, what made me kind of like diva was the Liverpool game. I think that was a non-negotiable, and everyone has their threshold. And I'm all understanding that if we had a full-strength team, maybe that result wouldn't be so damaging in terms of being 5-1 down at, you know, whatever period we were in a game. That was a lot for me to stomach. There was a few games and I thought, all right, cool, let's put that Liverpool game aside. Surely we could beat your Wolverhamptons, your Bournemouths. Even though there's every team, they have a level of competency. There's no easy team in the Premier League. And you have to take into consideration, which some people don't, the amount of players that we had out. That does affect the way we play structurally. So building out from the back, that's going to affect, that is our first attacking phase, essentially. But what I struggle with the manager is at times in adversity, knowing the cards you've been dealt, or some people might say, or knowing that the circumstances that you've been led in, how can you navigate through choppy waters? And so for me, I'm not as extreme as to say like, Ange out, get out of my club, he's terrible, you know, he's got no clue, Poster no clue. I'm not that guy, innit? I'm not that brother. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because I ultimately know Mason would be coming in because I know how this board behaves. I know they're not going to have the answer straight away. Like, can Ange be more defensive, like solid? Can he like see out games? That's not who he is, essentially. That's not his philosophy. His philosophy is to attack on, like, just be on your neck. And I'm here for it. But knowing the players that we have, especially in that front three, I just don't think we have the type of players to see out the project that he wants. And I don't think he's the guy long term, if that makes sense. I think medium to short term, it could possibly work. There could be some games where we get a run of games with 2 games, 2 wins back to back, possibly even 3. But I can't see us doing a 4-game run, 5-game run, or dare I say it, like at the start of the season, last season, an 8-game, win with 2 draws. Am I making sense? So that's where I struggle. I can't really see past that. Now, like I said before, we might do the odd like shock here and there, but then what do we follow that up with? Those are my concerns, and that's the reason why I'm no longer like quote unquote Ange in. But to say Ange out and say raw, get Mason in, I'm not saying that either, bro. We're in a sticky situation.
That's what amused me too, I guess. Just with, because you like you say, you're not Ange out, but you've sort of lost faith in the manager per se. Do you recognize any other managers that could take over this project mid-season, where we're at right now, and improve the team? Because ultimately, I think a lot of the questions has been around Ange, rightly so.
Yeah, so basically, does another manager make us harder to beat? Because that's the question. We all know that we like to attack. We've got no problem.
Can you get more out of these players? Another manager get more out of these players.
Managing what
the more you're going to get is more excuses. That's what you're going to get.
Well, yeah,
he's new. He just got here. Oh, it's this.
But that's the thing, Jacob, we've already, and I want to piggyback off of Ash's point, because Ash makes, because Mr. Box Office, me, we used to talk about this, and I used to say that I didn't believe the evidence supported what Mr. Box Office said. Yeah. Now I have to say, okay, like, you can't look at Liverpool, right? And obviously difference in player quality and stuff like that. But sometimes you can say, okay, I'm still Ange in. The reason I'm Ange in is because, saying what Ash said, the journey along with Ange, we can still make steps with him, but they're not going to be the big steps that we're looking for. For me, in this moment, the only way Ange keeps his job long term is if he learns serious lessons from what's happening. So he realizes tactics need to change, things need to adapt, because otherwise you have to look at it. In 20 years, we've never been in this position. Yeah, we've never been in this position. I'm not going to ignore that fact. We've never been in this position. If you said, and somebody said this,
you mean the position of not winning the Premier League, challenging, but maybe not winning all the cups?
Jacob,
we've been in that situation 19 out of 20 years, I believe.
The overhauling of the style does not justify us being in the bottom half of the league.
I'm just saying it's like we're freaking out that it's raining. It's just a part of the cycle.
No, Jacob, when we came into this season, what position did you have us?
I never gave a shit about the table. All I cared about was the 3 other competitions. That's all I've ever cared about. You could go back to, it's on record at every channel I've been on. I don't give a shit. I'll finish barely above relegation if it means we win Europa. I don't give a damn.
15th and win a League Cup, that's not acceptable. That's
to you.
Still not acceptable.
To you.
To me, it's not acceptable. To anybody, it should not be acceptable.
I'd be fine with me. It'd be fine with me because that's how bad I want a trophy. Standards lower, your standards, right? If hang on, just give me a second. So if I'm a guy who's like, I'm really thirsty, and you say, here's a glass of water, and I say, that's dirty, disgusting, can I get a different one? That's like perfectly within the right. Jacob, everyone has a preference of how dirty the water they're willing to drink is. Mine happens to be fucking disgusting because we are not successful.
But Jacob, you're assuming I'm putting everything into winning a trophy, and what trophy? Like, so at the end of the day, I'm like, do you think that we're going to be able to attract the creme de la creme of European football?
When have we ever done that? I don't want to hear about no creme de la creme or nothing. We ain't spinning no creme de la creme on nothing.
When we bought Dragusin
is that creme?
When we bought Dragusin last season, that's 90% because of the flow that Ange was on. at the time. And no one can convince me otherwise.
What did he do? What has Dragusin done that's like creme de la creme? So we can act like that's a great signing.
It's not about the quality, bro. It's not about the player.
You're talking about attracting players. Like players never.
But Jacob, you're missing the point completely. Maybe willfully to support your point. We got Dragusin over Bayern Munich.
It's not willfully. I just don't understand. Like you're saying creme de la creme, then you mentioned Dragusin. That don't sound creamy at all. That sounds like bang average, as my man box office would say.
Right. So the point remains, right? We were able to attract certain quality of player over higher profile clubs because of the project. Yeah. Now the project, you know, is not looking as sexy as it was.
Yeah, I'm sure Bayern missed Dragusin right now.
But bro, forget Dragusin. Dragusin's not. It's not about
okay, Bergvall. We got him away from what? Barcelona? What are we talking about? Luring players away from who?
Bro, your point's
let's let Jacob land his point. I want to know what Jay's doing.
The point I'm making is we were able to attract players from who wanted to go to Bayern Munich, who potentially were going to go to Bayern Munich, to come to us based on our project. That needs to be, to an extent, a winning project, or at the very least, a project that's progressing in the right direction. Right? If it's not, you are not going to be able to do those deals. Forget whether Dragusin's worked out or not. We were all delighted that he decided to pick us over Bayern Munich. We were all excited when Bergvall decided to pick us over going to Barcelona. That's because of the project. It's because of where they saw the club going. Now, if you are 11,
I think it was playing time more than project, personally.
Well, yeah, a playing time at Tottenham. Do you think he would have gone to Brentford if they offered him playing time? No. Because it's Tottenham and we were coming off finishing 5th, or we were still top 4 when Bergvall signed. We were top 4 when Dragusin signed. Would these players still have bought into us at the same thing? So I'm looking at it from the point of view saying the manager's showing right now there's severe tactical limitations in what he's doing. Yeah. If you would say to Vincent Kompany at Burnley, man, you should have changed your tactics instead of getting Burnley relegated. If you would say to Russell Martin, man, you should have changed your tactics instead of Southampton being bottom, you cannot then turn around to say to Ange, he's doing the right thing.
Well, I never said that, and Vincent Kompany never changed his tactics, and he got a better job at Bayern. So what does that tell you?
Oh, so you want Ange to go and get a better job and finish us in 14th?
I don't want to go left, guys. I don't want to go left because what I do want
to I'm just replying to your point. I don't give a shit. I don't have no wants for Ange other than what he's doing here.
Burnley got relegated. Burnley got relegated and Kompany got a different job. Do you think I care if Ange gets
well, you know, he stuck to his guns, and look what it did for him. So I don't know what the point was. You're like, oh, you're telling Ange to do this, which I didn't tell him to do. You're telling Kompany to do this, which I didn't tell him to do. But whatever he did led him to a better job at Bayern. So is that supposed to be a bad thing?
How was that good for Burnley? You don't think Burnley would have appreciated him changing his tactics?
We're talking about Kompany.
No,
right?
We're talking about Burnley, the football club, and what the result was as a result of it.
Well, they go down all the time, so it's like not that crazy that this guy was like, well.
Let's bring it back to Spurs. Huh? I want to bring it back to Spurs because
should we finish 14th because Ange won't change his tactics?
The hypotheticals don't matter in this juncture. But if we finish 14th and win Europa, then I'm fine with that. If you want to go hypothetical route.
Okay.
Wait. I just want to take it back a second because we were just getting through the reasons why certain people want the manager to stay, some people want the manager to go. And to be fair, I think mixed up in that conversation, Jacob probably hasn't realized Jay actually wants Ange to stay. He has said that. He has stated that he believes in Ange, but he just wanted to give some of the context as to why he's been questioning Ange. And that's what I just wanted to get also just round to you and get out of you, Jay. Because I know one of the things you mentioned was you don't believe someone can come in at this point and take this squad further and take this project further. So what do you think Ange needs to do? And also, just as sort of a two-part question, what does he need to do to change it ASAP? And what would be your breaking point to change to being Ange out or wanting the manager gone? Because I take it it's not that far off.
No, so it's like I had to take deep breaths after games. You look at Wolves, yeah? Like, if you look at Wolves and the result, yeah, because the Wolves result, we should have won the game. So if you look at the result and how it went, it was like, okay, we dropped points. But in terms of the performance, I saw adaptation. I saw us playing a slightly more counter-attack style. They had the ball more. I saw some positive shoots. The problem is, I have this theory about attacking managers who take over from defensive managers. And it's a theory I developed with Everton when they got Roberto Martinez and he took over from Moyes. In that first season, there was a perfect storm of taking your attacking values from Martinez, but taking the defensive stability of Moyes. And I've seen it multiple times with other clubs. And when they mesh, that's as good as it gets, right? Then a season on, the defensive stability that's been instilled starts to erode away. Yeah. And the players start going back to their natural instincts and their natural things. That's where I feel Spurs are starting to regress. Someone made a point. They said to me, hey, if Aston Villa, when they had Steven Gerrard, had just given him another 150 million, yeah, why did they sack him when things started going south? Why didn't they just say, hey, give this guy another 150 million? And I found it very difficult to answer that question in a way where I wasn't being hypocritical, right? So when I start seeing these little things coming up, yeah, to me, it's a McKenna or Marco Silva jobby, yeah, if we're going to get a new gaffer. And I don't think either of those managers are available to the end of the season. Alternatively, you've got Potter. That's what I think the next manager of Spurs will be. So 2 of those managers aren't available. To me, it just means we carry on going with Ange. But this is not a ringing endorsement in what he's been delivering to us. This is a, we've lost to Ipswich, we've lost, and I'm not gonna accept long term the injury excuse when our style of play exacerbates the injuries. It's like, how can I defend that when it is that? So yeah, lots up in the air. Still believe he's the right man for now, but that's asterisk, and I still need to see a lot of change because he's getting tactically done multiple times by multiple managers.
Very,
So
very
that's why I'm at the moment.
And
that's big coming from Jay, man. My gosh,
yeah.
I just can't believe what I'm hearing.
Box office, I'm
I
fair.
can't believe I'm agreeing with you on this one.
No, definitely. And I think you made some
Jay's
great
legit.
with
Jay's
regards
legit.
No,
Yeah.
look, bro, we've been arguing for so long. So George, you're gonna bring me in, innit? So
yeah, definitely. It was about to bring you in. Before I do bring you in, shout out to Egal for the raid as well and BSB for the raid. We've got 2 raids up in the building, so shout out to these guys and everyone in the chat that has come along. Make sure you subscribe to everyone's channels. It is in the description. It is in their names. And make sure you like the video, man. It helps grow the channel. We're on the road to 1K. As you can see, we're not too far off. We've got boardroom talks loading up as frequent as possible. And hopefully the next one is a lot better than this. But as Mr. Box Office said there, bringing him in, you've had an opposite view on this for quite a while. So we understand you've not rated this manager since he's come in. You've been very clear on that stance, and also on the fact that you don't rate a lot of these players. So I take it you're not surprised with where Spurs are at. But I guess the question to you, Mr. Box Office, is, I mean, what do you think needs to happen to Spurs right now to get better? What needs to happen for change, whether that's just a better January transfer window, or what manager are you looking at, say, needs to come in and needs to give something different to Spurs? Because as we've established, man, Ange isn't getting enough out of these players right now.
I think it's quite simple. The deal breaker for me is that he's not a coach. We need a coach. Areola, Eddie Howe, even that Turchip person from Dortmund, from what I've heard, right? I'll take any of them right now, because for me, yeah, he could win the Carabao Cup, but I just think that league form is just going to go downhill. He's got no chance of winning Europa League because he just doesn't know how to adapt, and he doesn't know how to deal with big characters. I've said this all on Mr. Box Office TV. He's a certified G. Mr. Box Office, if you don't know, get to know. You should have known that channel all day long, every single day. Best badass on YouTube every single time. You know what I mean? Yeah. The fact that he doesn't recognise a good player, as far as I'm concerned, right? And I blame that Johan Lang as well. Again, going back to why I say I'd rather have Prodigy doing the transfers, which is absolutely embarrassing, because I was criticising this guy so long, arguing with Jay, Irish Hotspur, everyone, right? And now I'm going back on myself. I hate doing that, right? The fact that our midfield's absolutely useless, that's his decision. Bringing in Archie Gray and saying and Burval saying, "Oh, we're so impressed with him in training." Said that last year with Phillips. Well, did we see Phillips this last season? No, he's back on loan. We got no defenders as well. That's really great management of the squad, isn't it? And then I hear about these injuries, which I've just been on another show, and I was just hearing the excuse about injuries because there's so much excuses for this manager. So much excuses for this manager. And the excuse that really gets wearing thin for me, oh, let's not talk about the manager. Oh, we need to talk about Daniel Levy now. Because Daniel Levy's the problem now. When Daniel Levy's backing him. So how is he the problem?
Can I ask a question?
I think Daniel Levy's backing him.
And this is a question I want to ask the entire panel. Like, can anyone educate me? What is the difference between an excuse and a legitimate reason? Because my wife gets mad at me when she's like, you didn't do the dishes. It's like, logistically, I couldn't do it. And it's like, that's an excuse. No, it's just the reason behind why the dishes are dirty now. So it's like, when a result goes poorly due to injury, is it an excuse or is it just like a realistic reason as to why we are where we are? I don't know. I'm legitimately asking because I have no idea.
Excuses because we've still got some good players in that squad at the moment. It's only defensively, and let's be honest.
Who's good? Someone tell me who's good.
The reason why we've got injuries is because he's ran.
You just say
all
stuff.
Our players
who's
into
good?
The ground.
Who's creme de la creme, Jay?
Our players into the ground. The way that we play is because of him. It's because of him, right? He knew that we're gonna the fixture list at the beginning of the season, Jacob. I'm sorry, which is not gonna get any better for us this season. Sorry, because we've still got January coming, still got January and February coming. We've got Europe as well, right? Like two games a week.
Clarify, you just said that we've got good players there, and I've heard you on many streams say that.
Where?
So which players?
You don't rate Kulu, and he's been our best player.
Well, yeah, he's been good. He's been on good form.
In fact, the better question is, who do you think and should be getting more out of, and who do you think that he's
Maddison, 110%.
Okay, that's a fair one.
The 33% guy.
Should be playing.
Leicester fan said he's a 33%er.
This one's not been great. He should be playing more up front. Right, I'd say Johnson needs to play more up front as well. To be honest with you, because he's just a tapping merchant, so you might as well just go on to that because he's not a winger. Sorry, right? You should play a double pivot with either Bentancur or Sarr or Basuma, but we still need a better midfielder because I don't rate any of them. I've got to be honest. Or play Archie Gray. Actually, his position. You know what I mean? Right? Make sure you're playing Spence.
You mean the one position we actually have a lot of people at? That's the one where we should use them?
What?
Archie Gray.
Well, yeah, we should be playing him. We should be playing him on the centre.
I mean, that's where Bentancur, Basuma, Sarr, they all are ahead of him in that.
They're not been great this season.
Yeah. Listen, and also,
I mean, the team hasn't been good this season, but again, I don't know who the good players are that you're referring to.
Okay.
It's blanket statements to just reinforce your point.
We're going to go into the player conversation. I just generally just want to get through everyone's opinion on the managers, and then we're going to go. Then we're going to be a bit messy as we always are. But just finally, we're going to get to Deji and Jacob so they can have their say and let us hear.
But no, that's just my point. I just think just to round it off, I just think for me at the moment, there are better coaches at the moment. And by the way, I do hear why people are saying, I'll try and make this brief, why we don't want to sack the manager, because I don't want Mason in charge. That just can't happen, right? That's just
something we can all get behind. No right? Mason.
But so that's stupid, right? So yeah, but for me, it's the coach thing. That's the deal breaker for me. He ain't a coach that improves players, and for me, that's what we need.
Do you think we should only sack the manager if there's a right plan in place? Then is that essentially?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And then moving on to Deji, because you do agree with that, but I just want to understand Deji. So obviously you've been Ange out for a while. That's been clear on your streams. If anyone hasn't, please make sure you tune in to Deji's watch-alongs. They are the best.
I think we need to drop a beat for Deji to go.
He's been hitting us with the freestyle. The freestyle.
Yeah, we need a beat. Someone drop a beat. Come on.
I've seen on football YouTube, probably the freestyles. Make sure you tune in, man, because he's got a new freestyle every game. Deji, man. Chat to us about Ange. Chat to us about Tottenham. Where your head's at, and what's brought you to this point?
Yeah, bro, I had to exercise my right to remain silent so far and big up to the illustrious panel. Look, this is 2025, and one of the things that we do in 2025 is we put out our little New Year's resolution. Look, I love my club. I had to take my son to his first game. His first game at the Tottenham Stadium was that Liverpool game. I am ready to lose bedrooms over this thing. I don't give a damn. If you don't want to invite me to your channel after today's show, suck yourself. That's how I'm moving right now about my club, because I am pissed. Ange needs to go. And I tell you why Ange needs to go. And Jay made it. Jacob made. Look, the thing is, we got to separate. We got to separate hope from facts. Yeah. Now, box office knows. Jacob knows. Ash knows. Jay knows. In fact, everyone knows I was Ange in. Because footballing wise, I will still stand by the fact that I prefer Tottenham to be on the front foot than to watch us sit back and do this hit people on the counter, which might or might not work. The issue I have with Ange Postecoglou is that points have been made about there's no adaptation in the location, there's none of that. And for me, he's made half-decent players look rubbish. And I'm looking at this squad that at the beginning of the season I was rating, and now they just look utter washed. What we have to do, I gave him the benefit of the doubt because last season he finished 5th. But if you take the form of the end of last season, we have continued that form. I'm not one of them Spurs fan brothers that's going to tell you that I'm happy with 10th and the Carabao Cup. That cup can go to the bottom of the Thames. I don't give a damn about it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, that's rubbish. I don't care. I've got standards for my club. Do you get what I'm saying? And I'm not going to shake my bum for no Carabao Cup. The only thing I'll look forward to is the little chicken burger at half time. Do you get what I'm saying? Now, the truth of the matter is, if we really want to deep it, Postecoglou is a gambler. I didn't start. He's a gambler. This pussy-o does Russian roulette. He does Russian roulette, bro. This brother goes red or black. Look, I've done it myself. I put my whole rent on red, and it went black, and I went for a walk. You know like that? And I went for a long walk.
Technically in a casino, that's the highest percentage chance you have of winning in anything is roulette by betting black or red. Did you know?
Yeah, 50%. Now, the thing with Postecoglou is we can gamble and wait to see if he's able to turn it around. That's what a lot of Spurs fans are doing. We're hoping that he can turn this around. But that is a big risk. Because if this brother doesn't turn it around, we are legitimately relegation fodder. One thing about the Prem doesn't lie. When I look at our starting lineup, it's one of the worst lineups in the whole Prem. Our starting lineup is not better than Bournemouth. It's not better than Fulham. It's not better than Brighton. It's not better than Wolves. In fact, I was surprised by our performance against Wolves. I was expecting to get whacked by that. We're only better than Southampton on lineup. And are we ready to take the risk of us being as dusty as United because we're hoping that Postecoglou might change this around? He might not. How about that? He might not, and I'm not happy. That's why I've been telling people from before, everyone that met me, stop putting all your eggs on the cup. Because when push comes to shove, you're not about that life. I don't mind where we finish as long as we have a trophy. Well, you don't mind? I hope you're enjoying the ride. Because I'm not. This is rubbish.
I am. Stream. There's moments.
Let me tell you how bad it is, Jacob. I can't stream. I can't. What am I saying? Nothing. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, Postecoglou, he hasn't got a clue, like legit. And Alex was right. With Alex, I didn't know how he had his information back in the day, but Alex has been proved right, and I am on board with it. He has to go. I've been chatting about Marco Silva from before the season started. Before we brought in Postecoglou, I wanted Marco Silva. Just let that be known. There's receipts for that. I think he can do it. Areola can do it. Those are all bring back Poch. Those are the only brothers that I want to see at my club. Anyone else is rubbish. And the last thing I want to say, just quickly on this whole thing about injuries is a load of hogwash. It's bollocks. And if I'm going to lose bedrooms over it, you can all suck yourself. Let me tell you why.
What does lose bedrooms mean? Just for I don't know what that. I don't understand.
Lose friends.
Friends.
You can't
I was gonna say,
tell me.
where's the bedroom going? I don't understand. Brethrens. Oh, I thought he said bedrooms. I was like, bro, where's the bedroom going? I don't understand.
No, they're not bedroom care, my brother. This is bedroom, but I know my English is a little bit English. You know what I'm saying? I ate too much at Christmas. You know, man's still sleeping on the turkey. But technically speaking, we have had 3 players missing. Technically. Let me explain why. Fraser Forster is a bloody fat hot point fridge. So that's the jig. He's nothing. Vicario is levels on this brother. The sooner Forster is out, the sooner I'll be happy. Do you get what I'm saying? Romero, Van der Ven. I would argue that since Jed Spencer's come in, he's done a better job than Udogie, who hasn't been the same since he got done out here by Minty Breath. So really and truly, Spurs
since the surgery, since Destiny's surgery, or since there was a player that cooked him?
Since he got cooked by Minty Breath at Brighton.
Brighton, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not been the same.
He didn't look good, and really all season Destiny's looked not great, not like he did last year.
So
before we get on to
3 players is us. We can't perform. That's rubbish, bro. Poro's been rubbish, regressed this season. Udogie ain't been good. The midfielders have all regressed. The only person who's come out positive in this whole shenanigans is Kulu. Son's been absolutely washed. What the hell is Brennan Johnson? What a waste of time. Solanke, we have a striker that we don't aim for. This is terrible. Honestly, it's been a minute that I've seen my club languishing in the bottom half of the table. I can't tell the difference between us and United. Who's worse? And that, for me, is not good enough. So for that reason, the injury is an excuse. Because if you're going to tell me about Mikey Moore, he don't start. Odebear doesn't bloody start. Who else do you want to
Odebear does start, by the way. When Odebear did come in, he started immediately, so that's wrong.
I know, Odebear could get minutes.
Brennan Johnson got benched as soon as Odebear passed physical.
But we can't be relying on Odebear.
I agree. No, I agree with you. I agree with the notion we can't be relying on that, but he is a starter in this.
He is definitely a start. But
can I take this crap then? Can I just say one more?
Bro, the squad is in shambles. It's been in shambles.
We had a game where we had Son, Timo Werner, and Brennan Johnson as the front 3. That has to be the worst front 3 in the
yeah.
One of them.
No, maybe not Prem, but maybe top 10.
Nah, it's not top 10, bro.
Nah, it would definitely be worse. It's one of them. It's definitely up there. One of them. It's no dynamic. 3 players that can't get on the ball and do anything. They're all running.
So you're saying Southampton's front 3 is better than that? I know it's bad, but I would take that over Southampton's front 3.
No, just Southampton. I'd rather have Ipswich's front 3. I'll take Omari Hutchinson and Delac all day in our attack.
I think Werner.
Well, I didn't mention Ipswich for a fucking reason. I said Southampton, didn't I? Because you said the entire league. Southampton is a part of the league. I don't think their front 3 is better than that atrocity that you mentioned.
Armstrong would better than Werner. Tyler Diblin's better than Brennan Johnson. So,
no.
Try you on that one. I'll try you. Brereton Diaz. He could go in there over something.
Okay, we're taking a piss. Yeah. All right, we're taking a piss now. Well, the point landed. Come on. All right, let's obviously, as seen as some of us are quite negative. Let's see Jacob come in. I was going to say, I want to hear, because normally it's me who's doing the other thing, but I'm neutral at the moment. So
Dibbling is a good player, by the way.
No, I'll come in last as well and bring some. But before we move on to Jacob, I just have to say, first super chat of the channel. It was only going live today. I did forget to tell everyone. So big up to Beans on Toast. He's asked,
hey, that's the first ever? Come on now. First of many.
Well, what I will say, tune in till later. Maybe he might do one before he leaves. If not, follow Deji Spurs. There's plenty of freestyles on the live
Yeah,
stream.
usually at full time, right?
So make sure you follow him, Beans on Toast, because the freestyles are there, man. The freestyles are there. But Jacob, bring it in now. Bring us some confidence, give us some life, and tell us why Ange is the man to lead us forward. Please. That's exactly what we need. We need to rally the troops now.
Well, there's a lot of things that were brought up that I absolutely agree with, and that there is no real rebuttal to, other than, you know, I guess laughing, because what do you do with this club? But there's a lot of aspects where I feel like it's a little bit overblown, or maybe overplaced or misinterpreted, in my opinion. So again, this is all Jacob's opinion, so I'm not using my foot to step on others. I'm simply just saying that, like, I'm going to try and work with what I remember. So Deji, there was something you said about, like, your standards being higher and me willing to drink swamp water in order for the trophy, how it's like, you know, lower and I'll be the first to tell you, my standards are in the gutter. But you know why they're in the gutter, Deji? Because of this club. Our club has failed us. Your high standards, what has that gotten accomplished in X amount of years? I don't know. I don't want to say how old you are. I've only known you for X amount of time on YouTube. But, like, outside of that, the high standards, what has it done for Tottenham? Because from my perspective, everybody's shouting about this and that's done jack shit for Tottenham since 2008. Because I know, like, for some people, it's not the end all be all a trophy. But for me, as a competitor, you either win or you lose. And when I'm so nurtured into losing the Premier League, because we literally don't ever, historically, when I go back and research my club, because I wasn't born a Tottenham fan, I chose to be a Tottenham fan, and part of that was learning the history. But, like, where we were at, I really felt like, oh, we can win that first ever, you know, Premier League title. And I, you know, so there was a lot of hope in that sense when I first started out, and it's been chiseled away much like a Michelangelo sculpture in the Sistine Chapel, or I think that's historically accurate. But I'm at a point where, just give me something, damn it. Give me something to be proud of. I need some armpits. When I played the sport, and everything that I've done in my life, I've always seen it, for better or worse, very black and white. Very, you either win the game or you lose the game. And in the Premier League, you can draw the game. So, like, the table to me, again, it's like that's like watching a movie and you see, like, the hottest chick. Yeah, I want to take her out. Yeah, I want to take her out too, but I'm going to focus elsewhere because I know it's not going to fucking happen. So my mindset, that's where I am. And so when this club has groomed me into a way of, well, you might get close, and then that's it, and that's it, I start to give me the but let's get over the line. And we ain't done that since I've been a fan. 0 trophies, that's not in the preseason. That's not good enough. That is failure at the highest degree in a footballing sense, in a sporting sense. To me, standards, high, low, none of it matters. Ainge in, ainge out, doesn't matter. None of it matters until you have people in place who are making educated decisions for the first team, not for the business and the brand and the logo. And sorry, Deji, yeah, I'll let you.
Yeah, no,
I can ramble.
I always ask a question after that as well.
Yeah, he's getting a bit irate. Ashley, make sure you're back tomorrow, bro, because all of this typing will anger. Come on the mic. But you know, last season the Basketball League trialed out their first Champions League format where you could win a trophy mid-season. Yeah, and I think the Lakers won it.
Yeah, they did.
Did anybody care?
Laker fans.
Yeah. Apart from that, no.
Genie Bus cared.
Was anyone impressed by the Lakers winning that trophy? Is the
NBA Cup.
In the NBA Cup, it was technically.
Well, I will say there's a difference to me between, like, something like the FA Cup that's hundreds of years old and a fucking new Emirates Cup because Emirates want to sponsor us for something. It just, the one's forced and one's a heritage thing. To me, how the money the club wins from an FA Cup has obviously like that is so minuscule in comparison to just getting the Champions League. And, like, while getting Champions League is fine, every time we've ever gotten fucking Champions League, it's nothing but shit, except for that one time when we weren't even supposed to do it.
So to me, it's like, it's to not make Champions League and be even shitter.
Why not win a Carabao Cup and qualify for Champions League? Why not get to that point or lay down a foundation to get to that point? We failed to do that.
There's one point that makes everything you're saying fall down. And I'm gonna, because when you were talking, I think you made good points, but there was something that was in the back of my mind, and I realized.
Well, to be fair, I did pause so Deji could come in with the NBA.
Yeah, but the question I want to ask you, Jacob, is last season, Ange said, and I could pull up quotes if I need to, but I don't need to. I'm pretty sure we'll all remember it. When we were getting knocked out of cups and stuff like that, Ange said that he wanted to build a team that was capable of succeeding and maintaining success. Yeah, He didn't want us to be a fly-by-night cup-winning side. He wanted us to be a consistently good side, and if you do the right things, a byproduct of doing that will be that you'll win trophies. That's what he said. Yeah?
Yeah.
This season
I agree.
would be the definition of the opposite of what he said.
I don't think so.
This would be us succeeding in spite of our form, in spite of our consistency.
But Jay, don't you think it's fair? Sorry, I know.
But that would be a byproduct of what he just said, though. So that would mean that
Ange said that. So you saying, "Oh, I'm happy to finish it"? No, because losing week in, week out isn't something.
Right. My low standards directly contradict what Ainge wants, for sure.
No,
I admit that.
But even if you're a Tottenham fan and you have lower standards, we still have had good standards over the last 20 years, over the last 15 years. Whether or not winning a cup doesn't make people happy. We've still had decent standards. I don't buy into this.
But what has that gotten us?
No, because we made
this whole standards.
No,
like you can have standards, but if you're like an incel on the internet, my standards are so high, no woman wants to date me. No, bro, you're just in your house. You're not out. You're not.
Analogies and anecdotes don't change the fact that Tottenham made it a top 6.
Why are you upset about my analogies and anecdotes?
I'm no. See, you can deflect all you want.
You seem upset about it. I'm just asking a question, Jay, because every time we've ever talked outside of this stream specifically, you have a different energy. So
no, the subject matter here is. Ange just said that he doesn't want us to be a team that's just a random cup team. And Tottenham itself, we made it into a top 6 by crashing the top 4. That's what made it a top 6. We have standards. We
crashed the top 6 because financially, there's no other way you can convince me that we made top 6 because of success. We ain't done shit to get top 6. What top 4 trophy? We made fun of Arsenal fans for that.
You don't want any standards. You're like, oh, it's fine to be. I'm just saying, you're saying it's fine to be 14th, 15th and win a Carabao. You want to dilute the standards.
Well, technically, I said Europa. To be fair, Jay, if you're going to directly quote me, I said Europa. So when you refer to my low standards, refer to what I actually said, which was I would take barely above relegation and a Europa. That's what I said.
Someone asked you a question and said, "What about the Carabao Cup and finishing bottom half of the table?" I think you said, "Yeah, I wouldn't mind."
Yeah,
so I think that's what
you're happy with that.
But let me
the first time you get in the pool, you just got to get all wet,
What I think is that I'm someone with you, Jay, and Deji. I probably have a high standard for our club. I treat us as a big club. I think we have the money like the other big clubs, and like I said, we made it into the top 6 for a reason because we can compete with the other big clubs. We compete with them on every front, apart from on the football pitch at the moment. So when I look at the football club and I look at the standards and I look at, yes, Ange doesn't want us to come a random cup team, but I feel like if you look at the season in context with all the injuries, you can let go of the league and just be like, look. But where we are in the league is where we are at the moment. We've not had enough players available over the past 8 to 10 weeks where we've been able to churn out results and beat a lot of the teams we should be beating. That's just the facts. That's already happened. Now, can Ange turn this around? He can, but I don't think it's going to be drastic enough for our league position to be, it's not going to be respectable. We're probably going to finish 6th, 7th at highest. And that's looking at other teams in those positions.
Well, we're having injuries last week. But Jords, just want to time in. When you say that, we had injuries last season and we had 1 game a week.
Yeah, so and our form fell off the cliff because of the injuries.
The difference between this season and last season is when we had injuries last year, we could manage it because we're playing 1 game a week and we're not having the reoccurring injuries. So when players are coming back into the again straight away. Whereas right now, as we've seen, especially over the last 6 weeks, when Romero came back, when Van der Ven came back, even when Ben Davies came back into training, same with Udogie, these guys are all getting reoccurring injuries because they're not resting because of the high intensity that we play at.
I think that's what happened to Odebert, right? He came back and then got injured in training.
But that was on Ange again.
For
Romero
Van
and
der Ven back 100%. But
but if he didn't play him that game, y'all, because everyone who was complaining about Ainge, if they would have been like, oh, he had them on the bench, but he didn't use them. It's just one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't situations.
I'm not taking that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, George.
We know.
I'm trying to be respectful. But the point I'm making
me too, George. Sorry.
No. Respect to you, Jacob. But the
fact
Royal Rumble
is, now, man. Honestly, we're past the point of everyone making their points. We're Royal Rumble now.
The point I'm making is though, he didn't need to put Romero and Van der Ven in against Chelsea, and then you saw what happened, and we all knew. The whole thing of the injuries, I'm sorry, it's an excuse. I don't like this excuse anymore because at the beginning of the season, he knew what was going on. He knew what was going on this season. Right?
That's crazy to think that he had a crystal ball that would tell him all these things that have occurred. Being the most fouled team last year, being the most fouled team currently, Can
I just quickly chime in since it's Royal Rumble and I know Ash is going to pick up on this? Yeah. My biggest issue has to be when we, the punters, we the fans, can see.
I'm not a pundit. Don't call me a pundit.
Yeah, but we the fans, punters are like the people who go and watch games, or we watch games.
in the stadium. There's a lot of
we can see what he needs to do, and he doesn't do it. For example, Jed Spence. We've been calling out for Jed Spence to play. Then, for whatever due to injuries, Jed Spence gets into the team, and then surprise, for a few games, he's the best player on the pitch. I'm asking the question, so what is he watching in training where he wasn't going to play this brother? Yeah, I would argue, I would feel more comfortable with Jed Spence at right back at the moment than Pedro Porro, especially when you're moaning that Pedro Porro's on his last legs. Then why aren't you playing these brothers? So a lot of the issues that Postecoglou, the reason why Postecoglou is losing some of us on the panel is not because we don't think he's a good manager. It's because he's made a series of poor decisions which cannot be explained. Like, why? Why? How come? And that's why we understand, Timo Werner, what, you just realized? What, you just noticed he's not the guy for the job? Come on. Fraser Forster, he said he didn't want to bring in another keeper. All of a sudden, you want to bring in a keeper. We said this when Vicario got injured. So how come he's only noticing now?
Now, one thing I feel
to be fair, the not bringing in a keeper thing, I don't think that was.
I feel like Ange gets the brunt of a lot of the bad decisions that are made by Tottenham as a team or as a board currently during his tenure, especially with the signings and players that we're looking at and the transfer strategy. Like, these are things that Ange would be speaking about the board with, but he doesn't have full control of. He wouldn't have been in control of the fact that we didn't want to sign any first team players in the summer. He wanted Gallagher in the team. We was known that prior to the whole window in June, Gallagher was one of our key players. We didn't sign an all action number 8. So it's very clear right now that we're missing a profile that he wanted in the team. And again, I look at Werner and say Werner was signed as soon as the transfer window was open. I don't think that Ange wanted that player. I think that
Wait.
Oh, thank you, Jords. Thank you, Jords, for actually using contextual evidence to rationalize an opinion. Because I feel like a lot of times there's something that happens or a quote that is read and people just immediately flock on it with their opinions and how they feel. And it's just not really fair to imagine if the fucking cop is trying to solve your murder and he's like, well, I didn't like this fucking guy anyway, so who cares that he's died? Like, that's not really fair. It's not really fair to the argument or the discussion or to Ainge, in my opinion.
Do you not think, quick one, just for everyone, do you think Ange wanted Werner, like sometimes think? Yes. No, not everyone thinks it. Not everyone thinks it, but some people might think this. So Ange wanted Werner because he suits his style, his system in terms of high intensity, he's fast, he runs in behind, he can whip that ball to the box, he can create problems.
No.
Or do we think what Jords thinks and what Jacob thinks, and they think that actually Ange was against the signing? It was nothing to do with him. Yeah, it was against the signing. And if he was against the signing, he still accepted it. And if he still accepted it, does that make him a yes man?
Yeah.
That's of a yes man.
I think I would lean more on the fact that he's a yes man, or he's on the case of
But if he's a yes man, then that's a bit of a.
No, I feel like, but we've seen
It's a bit of a what? What? It's a bit of a what? Everyone has a boss that they go say yes sir to. In my case, it's my wife. I say yes ma'am, but
Timo Werner is his signing because Brennan Johnson is his signing, and they're both the same. Rubbish.
No, they're very different.
I like the punchline, Deji. I do disagree though, but I like the punchline.
It can come down to a manager. His profiling is something I'm looking at. Like, it's not like it's what when you look at Werner, yeah, the data will give you a player. Now, if Andrew's feeding the recruitment team what data he's looking for, the output comes out and he says that player is acceptable. That is a manager who is misprofiling his team, right? Yeah. If Ange wanted Gallagher and said, you know what, I'm willing to take Archie Gray, that's on you, bro. Like, because he saw last season.
Do we know he said that? Do we know he said that?
He's in the team, though. He's in the squad.
We know. That
Jesus, it's not. Like I said, I see things very black and white, Alex. But it's not like that.
You just praise someone for using logic. So let's use logic here. We know we spent £40 million on Archie Gray. We know that we needed a central midfielder in the summer, but we didn't sign a central midfielder. Yeah. Therefore, it's a reasonable guess to say that money that was earmarked for a central midfielder was reallocated to Archie Gray.
And I just say,
I can't believe I'm actually.
Nah, I don't really agree with that.
Amazing. I don't know how this is happening.
I'll give you some context on that. I don't agree because Spurs were still looking for a midfielder after that. We were then
Archie Gray to me was like a jet spin signing for Conte.
We all remember that quote. We all remember that quote post preseason, which Mr. Box Office most knows about, most definitely, when they said Bergvall and Archie Gray have been so good in preseason, Spurs are no longer looking at signing. So he was still pursuing with it. It's just because that again, maybe I don't think this is Ange's decision. I think above board they thought, bro, they're gonna have bigger impact than what we thought they were going to.
Now, bro, we had this conversation about homegrown players, Jacob. Yeah. Jords, sorry. And we said homegrown players, we wanted homegrown players. Not a coincidence, we were linked with Conor Gallagher. We put a bid in for Jacob Ramsey, and we bought Archie Gray. So to me, the logic dictates
we also got rid of Skip, so we did
homegrown midfielder, and we settled on Archie Gray. That's how I look at that. Now, other people can say, that's not true, Jay. Okay, at best, you can say, Ange watched these players in training, thought Bergvall and Gray were ready, and it turned out they weren't ready, and we missed out 6 months of the season by not having midfielders, knowing we'd sold Skip, Højbjerg, and Lo Celso.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that either.
It was a good decision to sell. Was a good decision to sell. But
I don't agree with any of it.
No, because the thing is,
but not on the back of selling Bergvall and getting Bergvall and Archie Gray. Sorry.
Talk on you, Ashley, but keep yapping, bro. Keep yapping. It's logic, bro. It's logic. We didn't sign a central midfielder. We lost 3 central midfielders. Are you telling me
technically Bergvall was a part of
the manager chose
window
to go ahead
February
with an inconsistent midfield of Bizuma and Bentancur? Those were inconsistent players last season, but the manager said, "I'm going to put my house on these guys this season." What are we doing here? You can't just keep blaming Lang and Levy. The manager
I don't really agree with that. I do want to blame Long and Levy, and I want to blame Scott Munn. I want to blame every motherfucker serving coffee in that bitch too.
Dave's point, just quick, and then I'll be quiet for most of the show. Go on. There is no point in you taking players that you don't want. Because if you take players that you don't want, guess what? You lose your job. So what is the point of it?
But what I don't get is, guys.
I think it's a give and take thing because what separates Ainge from Jose and Conte? Because for them, they got treated the same fucking way. No, hang on. From a business perspective, we treated them the same fucking way. We've just put up with it longer with Ainge because we are trying this whole, we can't get a manager, so let's stick with this one. And for me, this club treated Jose in the market a certain way. And I was observing and I said, okay, like the whole Pochettino, the whole this and that, the stadium and all, fine, whatever. But I started fresh with Jose. I said, how are we going to treat this guy? He wanted XYZ. They gave him DCB. He wants this. And it's been like that with every manager since then. So am I supposed to believe that all of a sudden Ainge got here and they're going to say, oh, 100% every decision we make is yours? Because they didn't do that for fucking Conte or Jose, who's the special one, which is...
last year we had an all-star transfer.
Jose said, I want...
We didn't. We didn't, though. Last year.
Yeah, so when we signed Vicario, Madison... Udogie came in. You tell me that wasn't an all-star transfer window?
Was
no, what all-star transfer window are we talking about?
For a team that finished 8th going into that season and lost Kane, that's probably as good as it gets for a transfer window.
That was it was a decent transfer window. It was a
good window. Yeah, we then added Dragusin and Werner. The one thing that changed was Gabbanini and Paratici were out and Johan Lang was in. So to me, I think it's very logical to say there's teething issues in a transition of approach and logic without saying that we've spent so much money over the last few years. Yeah. So if you're going to tell me, to me, the profile of the players is good. If you choose to buy other players, that's fine. Doesn't bother me. There's lots of players the fans have wanted that have stunk up the joint at other clubs. Do you see what I mean?
But there's a point to be made there, though, about the whole spending money notion, because we all just did holiday shopping, right? If I spent 10 times more than I spent on this holiday, but I bought a bunch of shittier gifts that nobody wanted, what does that mean about my gift-giving ability? Or if I could smartly spend my money, spend it decently, generously, whilst getting the things that I know people want and would love, I think that would speak higher volumes about the ability.
I hear that point, and it's a point that I've made before. But I think that when they came out and they said, actually, we've made them, it's almost like they said, we've made a mistake because we've gone too far into the youth direction. And actually, maybe we need to mix some senior.
That was a recent. You're talking about Andrew's comments, yeah?
Yeah.
Said that we've changed the approach to this window.
Right then. So to me, that is him admitting on his fault that actually maybe they got some of the recruitment wrong. And that's the reason why they are in that position they are now. They got heavily focused too much on the young side, didn't mix it in with enough senior players. Because like these guys were saying, Lo Celso, whether you like him or not, is a senior player. Højbjerg, another senior player. I know, but still senior players that have Premier League experience. And then Skip, whether you like him or not, another experienced Premier League player. Do you know what I mean? Whether you say he's young or not, he's still experienced, meaning that they've got minutes under their belt. Now, if you bring Archie Gray in and you bring in Bergvall, they haven't got that many minutes, senior minutes on the pitch, so you can't really count them as experienced players that to help you to push on from the 5th position.
They had 0, Ash. It's not that many. They had 0.
Well then, right then. So technically, we haven't replaced a senior figure in that team apart from, say, Dominic Solanke to help us push on. And then even Dominic Solanke, when he was playing under Areola, when he took over Gary O'Neill, he said, I want you further forwards because when you're playing under Gary O'Neill, you're too far away from the goal. I need you to score more goals. So I need you in that box. I need to be a box striker. Now, what I'm seeing under Spurs, I'm seeing that striker who scored 19 to 21 goals last season further back. And therefore, he's no longer in that position where he was so deadly at Bournemouth to have the same impact. Also, if you're looking at the wingers, you've got an aging profile in Son, who's on, some would say, the decline. He's losing some of his legs, decision-making, questionable. Is he right for the system out wide as opposed to closer inside the box? Can he be more effective there? Maybe Son isn't right for the system. So then you've got a profile issue there. Johnson, as Jay was saying and others were saying, he needs space in front of him. That's where he becomes more effective. You've got too many, and Werner again, you've got too many similar players in profile that want to play the same way. But then you think that down to Ange, you'd be able to profile better. The caveat I would say to my own point is, yes, Odegaard is that player they brought in. But again, it comes down to experience. Odegaard only had 1 season in the Premier League at a Burnley. Is he going to be the one to take us to the next level?
I don't think
if you want to stay at the same level, you can have that debate. But if you want us to get to the next level from
the whole window was that same
No,
level.
but Ash, what I would look at with that, I feel
but
like
that's Ange is a part of that. That's what we're saying.
But when you look at the signing of Odegaard, that even leans even more to this being a bigger problem at a higher board level, because we all know going into last season, and before you come in, Jay, is that just like you mentioned, we switched to the data model. As per the data, Odegaard was, if you look at the type of profile of winger we were looking for a touchline winger, someone that gets at their man and is going to dribble and beat their man. Odegaard was the second best in the league at doing that last year. I'm pretty sure around Europe.
Apparently, we tried to get him in January as well, but Burnley wouldn't let him go.
Highly touted with regards to the data to matching the profile of player we were looking for. And then you were meant talking about players there, Ash, and saying we obviously changing the strategy going into the new window of signing more senior players that are more ready. Now, I agree, in the summer window, I think all Spurs fans felt that we needed more ready players, more players that were ready to come into their first 11 and have an instant impact. But what I will say is that I don't think that it could have been predicted that so many of our current senior players are performing so badly. I don't feel Maddison's level, where he's been inconsistency and the level of performances he does put out, even when he does have a decent game. I don't think this was predicted by Ange when he signed him, that this was going to be the Maddison we got.
George,
he's not been good enough.
George, I don't know.
Just before you come in, Deji, I also look at Son. Say, yeah, we can all recognize Son has regressed, but I don't feel like Ange thought Son would be as bad as he has been, especially this season. And then I look at the likes of Romero. I look at Porro. I look at Romero, Porro, two other players that are senior for us who have been extremely poor for us this season. So I think we've got some senior players who are first teamers who are all replaceable right now, because none of them are good. And none of them have been good enough.
I'm being real, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way. And literally, it's only because I know you personally that I know that Levy hasn't paid you for some of the comments you've made this evening. Now, that was a poor joke. Bro, the issue we've had at our club is I don't
want to. If Levy want to pay me for comments, I'm open for buying.
Yeah, I don't want to manage.
You can buy me.
Yeah. So first and foremost, we knew that Son is going to be 30. Straight up, that's going to be a liability for me. Worry. Romero's been a liability from day dot. So why wouldn't you be prepared for that? Van de Ven,
no.
Yeah, bro. Romero's been rubbish.
No, not from day dot.
And this season is even the worst of it all. So for me, a lot.
I agree with that, but not day dot.
Bissouma, he's hot and cold. Bentancur, hot and cold. Papsar, we ain't really seen last season. He kind of came out, but we ain't really seen the best of him. Maddison, he played well first 10 games. We didn't see anything. So when he says that he didn't expect the fall off. Well,
he played another 22 games of shit. By the way, Maddison, after he came back from his injury.
I said I didn't expect the fall off from our senior players.
We've had precedent for this, and the other thing that I think is not wise. Football is about keeping your job. He wants to build for the future, but he might not be here for the future. So what you got to do is you got to do what is right now. And what is inexcusable for me is that I'm looking at other teams, other players we could have bought for a fraction of the price who would have done a better job. Semenyo at Bournemouth is better than Brennan Johnson. We would have got him for half the money we spent on Brennan. Yeah. Robertson, left back at Fulham, what a player. Or even Kirkes. These players we could have got for 20 mil. I'm talking about go and get Kelly out from Liverpool, 40 mil, a goalkeeper that can actually deal with set pieces. Let's go out and go and get Rodgers. What I can't understand, our scouting, but for me, the forward planning. Solanke, if he was going to be our striker this season, he should have been in on Kane's last season. Succession planning. Who is the successor for Son?
Odegaard and someone else that we bring in. I think it's been clear. We have Odegaard and Mike. We have a very strong left hand side. For
the I'm not being funny, Jords. We can see with our eyes, that Odegaard ain't gonna be up to Son's. He's not going to give us what Son.
He's not ready at the moment, but I feel like
look at Ethan Nwaneri at Arsenal. You can tell that this kid is a baller.
Mikey Moore has that ability.
And then I got to look at Archie Gray and Bergvall and have people lie to me, cognitive dissonance, that these men are going to do something like Ethan. You're chatting rubbish.
What are we doing? No. Deji, you're pushing it now. Archie Gray's been class. I think Archie Gray's been.
I think Archie Gray can be Ethan levels. Like,
He's
as in,
good.
I think
I don't think
good.
Archie Gray has been.
I don't even know what Ethan levels means. The kid's
Good.
played fucking 10 games.
Yeah, but when the kid,
What is
kid's on the
Ethan
pitch,
levels?
He's a top performer. He's in the top 3 or 4 performers for Arsenal when he plays for them. He's clearly very good.
And they look like shit.
Well, they don't though. He looks like quality.
Yes, they do. They are poo-poo. Maybe it's my bias. I watch them and I see shit. They squeak out a 1-0 win versus us. I see shit. I don't see, elegant
but
playing.
Ethan
He's
didn't
the
play
top
like it.
3
But
player of a
so
pile of
Ethan at
2.
Arsenal, though,
Okay,
innit?
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, but okay, so then obviously it's not really pertinent to the point. Like, just obviously circling.
Say like Saka levels, that's levels I can like understand because he's gotten double-digit GA for X amount of years. Like, okay, that is a level. What is a 10-game spell? What is level is that? James Madison last year?
He's 18 years old and he's one of the best 18-year-olds in the world. Like, take it like that. Take it like that. If that makes it easier to digest. I don't mind.
I don't like that point. Lamine Yamal's younger than
Obviously, Lamine Yamal is better than Ethan, but Ethan's
Arda Guler's shown me more. There's just more sample sizes on other people. That's why I'm asking, what is an Ethan level? You say creme de la creme, then you say Dragusin. You talk about this level, and then you say fucking this. Like, what is...
I'll explain why.
How can you say creme de la creme and then Dragusin and then talk about that and then bring up Ethan levels? What is Ethan levels?
Right now? Because I feel like you're muddying the waters on points deliberately because you don't like the points that are being made. Like, the point being made is Ethan is a top 18-year-old. One of the very, very best.
Hey, that's your opinion. We're discussing opinions. I'm not muddying shit. Just because you're getting convoluted with all the things I'm saying, don't mean that I'm doing anything on purpose. I'm fucking talking. I got invited on here to fucking talk.
What's your opinion of Ethan then? Do you have an opinion or are you just shitting on my opinion?
I'm saying that there's not enough of Ethan in the Premier League in any competition yet to say I think X, Y, or Z. Like, I've seen a lot of young players come in and look really. Eric Dyer scored on his debut. We started thinking, oh, Eric Dyer. Sessegnon. We started thinking, oh, Sessegnon. And then we saw, Danny Rose. He was good, but then he wasn't. It's like, I need larger sample size before I say I think Ethan levels is any barometer of measurement for anything.
Okay, but I'm not talking about him versus grown men. I'm talking about the fact that he, at 17 years old, is able to play first-team Premier League football in his natural position and play.
Congratulations! It was like pulling teeth with Arteta as well. So, like, what does that prove?
I don't, bro. Like,
I get what they
do you know what I mean, bro? I don't understand what your point is. He's got Saka. He's got Saka.
You're using him as a barometer of measurement when he's shown us very little.
Jacob, you're just shitting on my point for the sake of whatever now.
Bro, I'm just saying your barometer of measurement. I'm asking what it was. My first fucking question was, what is Ethan levels?
What is Ethan Love? Okay, he's one of the best 17, 18-year-olds in world football.
Thank you. That's all you had to say. You didn't have to get upset about anecdotes and analogies. Goddamn.
He's starting for a title challenger. That's his levels in a natural position. That is his levels. Simple.
Cool. He's really getting them over the line. I'm real proud of that.
What is this nature of debate that you're doing?
You okay? Bro, you're all right. You're going to be all right. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I asked a fucking question and you got upset. It's okay.
I'm not getting upset. I think your point is stupid. And I think you're muddying the point because you're not actually...
Well, you thought wrong yet again. Congratulations. That's 5 that by my count. If you go back an hour and 8 minutes, that's about 5 times you fucking got me wrong. So congratulations.
No, bro, listen, I'm just not agreeing with a lot of your points. I think they're quite...
I don't care if you agree or not. I don't give a shit if anyone agrees with me. I'm talking my opinion. I'm not trying to be like water.
While I'm talking there, bro. There we go. Because obviously, bro, congratulations. We've gone over the threshold now. So now we can talk to each other disrespectfully all you want. If that's what you want
because
to do.
I said I'm not being like water. That's disrespectful to you. I'm sorry, Bruce Lee. The fuck?
And you know the point I'm making. You know the point I'm making. And you're talking.
I apologize to Bruce Lee and his entire estate for saying I'm not trying to be like water.
Hey, listen. I gotta go.
You know, mate. Oh my god.
I gotta go. Yeah. So I wanna get one thing in, and then you lot can get back to it, innit? Yeah. All right, cool. Basically, I know we're talking about players right now, but I wanted to go back to the manager talk. Not that it's any better, yeah. Not that it's any better, but I was making to a point to box office earlier on, and I said, all right, even like, look, boom, if you look at this, one day Ramos, he won us a cup, innit? When he won us the cup, the next season, we were like not even we weren't even mid-table, we were like low. And the board had enough, the fans had enough, and he was gone, right? I'm looking at Ten Hag, right? Ten Hag came in, he won them trophies, innit? He won them a League Cup and he won them an FA Cup, innit? 2 trophies. But that league position was unattainable. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm looking at Ange.
Only in the second season, isn't it?
Is the cup gonna be enough in the following season to hold them out? That was my last question. But guys, I'm gone. There's a super chat. It's 50 DKK off with pounds. That's hit the like. Great show, Jords. Hey, you need to be doing these regular, bro, because a lot of people got a lot to say. You know what I'm saying, man?
We're gonna be running them up.
Next time I'm gonna say onto the full time. I don't know. It keeps clashing. People keep messing me up, man.
It's fine.
But
It's
yeah,
all good.
hit the likes. Come over to Spurs Kings TV if you want to see more. And yeah, man, big up the boys in the chat. Big up Box Office, Deji, obviously Jacob, Spurs, United Spurs, J rated R, and Durag Diaries as we are, man. Boardroom talks, big up every time, big up the chat. But yeah, love for the love people.
Ash, man. We appreciate you for pulling up, and I'm gonna get everyone to answer that question before we do move on. But quickly, just we've had a super chat on the subject of Ethan, so I thought big up to NSG. DKK, I'm not sure where that's from, but big up for you tuning in and big up for the super chat. It's much appreciated. Ethan only starts because they have so many injuries. Moore was starting as well for us before he got injured. What's the point? We haven't seen enough. I think the point was just to make everyone clear, Ethan is a top prospect. Regardless of what you rate him as a level, whether you've seen him enough or so on, he's a top prospect within England. Just like Mikey Moore, they both played in the under-17s together prior to the season, and they were lighting it up because they're 2 of the top prospects in world football. So at his age group, no one can deny Ethan had a great performance yesterday. He's doing
and admittedly, in the small sample size, he's been good. Like Jay said, like everyone said, he's been the top 3 player for them in the sample size. My whole point was that sample size isn't big enough for me to say that I think anyone's at his level. Like, what is his level? I just don't know yet.
Words and stuff. People obviously use different words in different ways. So I think when we're saying his level, Jay's obviously.
That's all I was asking was what is an Ethan level? Because I haven't seen enough.
That level is just being a top young prospect.
Top 18 prospect. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I can move with that.
But just so what on what Ash said, I want to quickly get everyone's answers before everyone heads out because I know we're getting on a bit late and some people may want to head out. Jay, what's your thoughts on what Ash's question regarding if we win a.
If we win a cup, you see, I originally I've never been a fan who, when the team was finishing top 4 or top 6, I was never a fan who wasn't happy. Like I appreciated the club doing that. Do you know what I mean? I never was like, oh my God, we're not winning trophies, fuck the club. It was always like I appreciated being upwardly mobile. I appreciated being competitive. I appreciated being a club that was respected. Now, obviously now, I never, for me, the cup, because a lot of fans, in my personal opinion, it became an all or nothing thing. They've managed to negotiate to this kind of position where it was all about winning trophies. And they started throwing away the fact that we were making Champions League. And I always looked at Champions League qualification as an opportunity to play for another trophy. I didn't look at it as the end, the be all and end all. So for me, what I've seen of the manager, it's like if you went from 5th to 15th in one season, and the only logic you had to explain it was the injuries and the squad wasn't invested in, what it tells me really clearly, and this is the best way I think to explain it, is we are a club who performed at our best when we've had a manager that elevates the players, right? Now, with Ange, I'm seeing a manager who can see that certain players aren't good enough to perform in his team and deliver the team to a certain level. That is subtly different, yeah? Now, if we're not capable of being a club that can invest this money and do stuff like that, it wasn't enough for one day Ramos, so why should it be enough for Ange? Like, do you know what I mean? And to me, if I'm saying, looking at Ange's philosophy and mentality, it's not like we didn't get slapped at Newcastle last season with a fairly fully fit squad. There's enough games. There's enough games where we've conceded 8 goals to Chelsea in 2 years, conceded 10 goals to Liverpool in our last 2 appearances. Yeah, there's enough games where I can say there's enough question marks that I'm still going to go along with it, but it feels very much like AVB to me at the moment. I'm starting to notice the nuance, and I personally don't think, without an upturn in league form and an FA Cup or Europa League, because bear in mind, winning the Carabao Cup will only get us into the Conference League, and I don't want to play Conference League football next season. So we still get Carabao. So we still need top 6, Europa or FA Cup, and I think if the manager doesn't deliver that, personally, I'd be of the opinion to start again, because as well, 2 years is a good amount of time for a manager. You still protect new managers coming in where they say, hey, you're not just going to get sacked straight away. We'll give you 2 years to impose your strategy and vision on the club, and we'll see where we're at. So that's where I'm at.
I want to come in on that a little bit, because I do agree. I think 2 years is a good enough sample size with a manager to say, I think this or this or this, right? But where you also mentioned Dominic Solanke should have been brought in at the beginning of this to help.
That was my point. That was Deji's point.
Oh, sorry. So
that was
maybe I'm
point.
amalgamating the 2 points, but I do agree. Like, Solanke should have brought in a lot sooner. We shouldn't have waited till the season was about to start before we got rid of Harry Kane, so we could have adjusted and played, gotten a player in that position. And these are problems that for me have been indicative of the club. The club has continued to do those kind of things to where when we continue to do them, whether it's for Jose, Conte, Nono, or Ainge, it doesn't really matter to me, because we're always going to continue to do that. That's kind of why I've always felt that way. And to touch on the Champions League thing, like, for me, I love Champions League. I don't love Europa. Europa's fun, but like, I love the Champions. There's nothing like watching Champions League football. But again, at the end of the day, I get it. Like, what are we doing here? Every time we qualified, as of late, without that night in Ajax, like, outside of that, we just get embarrassed. Why do I want to be embarrassed on the world stage more when we can't even get past the first round Fulham Europa or Carabao? So it's like, for me, I want to start small, win what you can win, build on that, let these players know what it feels like to actually win. Because Son ain't won trophies with us. He's won individual awards. Kane didn't win trophies with us. He won individual awards. Like, these players, all their success on the pitch comes from other teams or individual rewards because they're quality. So to me, that's clear that, like, in order to build a winning mentality, you have to fucking win. And when you get bounced out of cup competitions or you don't take them seriously, to me, that is nurturing the loser mentality that I think has been poisoning Tottenham for years. And it's it's not just a board or manager. It's players, board, manager, everything. It's a damn spa resort.
So I want to set the scene before Mr. Box Office drops the mic. So one of the things that we're not going to do is we're not going to take on a role and then you're not ready for the heat. You can't be a politician, a president or a prime minister, and then get upset when people cuss you down. You can't be a streamer and then when people start giving you negative comments, you start crying. It comes with the territory. Now, people talk a lot about Levy. The truth is, Pochettino under Levy did the thing I never thought I would ever see. Spurs finish in the top 2. Spurs get to a Champions League final. The point that I'm trying to make is a legit manager is able to work with the tools they have been given. And that is the difference between Postecoglou. Last season, why were we impressed? Because we were impressed that the same team that was struggling under Conte, he managed to get them having more ball possession than most teams, and then we're starting to see a tune out of Pape Sarr, and we were getting gassed. Udogie looked good. We were getting happy, like, oh, Van der Ven, oh, this must be a manager. This season, we have completely fallen off the cliff, whether people like it or not. That's why we look at a Marco Silva. That's why we look at Areola. That's why we look at the Brighton manager. With the tools they have been given, are they getting the best out of their squad? The answer is yes. Is Postecoglou getting the best out of this squad with the tools that he's been given? The answer is no, he's not. So that is where he's fallen off. Unfortunately, that's the nature of the game. For Postecoglou to keep his job, he needed to maintain or improve. He's fallen off.
Now, I do agree because it is a results-based business at the end of the day, and if results continue in the same manner, he absolutely should be gone before the year's over. Like I agree with what you're saying. I just like he's given certain tools, and then I don't know who's beeping sound. I don't hear any beeping, but I just struggle to find a reason like to defend or to say like, yes, if that makes sense. When you say those things, I'm like, well, you're right, because if these results continue, then that's on him, and it's got to be the L that he holds. You say yes to the players, even though you don't want those players, regardless of you. When you play those players, that's where things get murky. And then when, substitutes, for me, like Ainge has never been blameless in all of this. And I feel like just because I have a typical stance of like not running in on him, that I'm somehow excusing things, or I think that he's perfect. I don't think that he's perfect. I don't think that he's the world's best manager, as much as I say that when we beat Pep Guardiola just because it's fun. But like legitimately, he is a man who's going to get it wrong. Do I agree with all the decisions he makes? No. When you play Timo Werner, I agree with the thing that you said. How is it now that this is just now you're like, wow, Timo's so bad, I can't get a tune out of him? We've been seeing this from our perspective, and we've known it. And to me, it was like, I try to understand why he says certain things or how he says it. And that's why I think it's pertinent that before not you, but anyone out there allows any quote anywhere to make you feel some way, you should listen to it. You should hear the question asked. You should hear and watch the physical person speak, because a 5-letter quote looks a lot different than a 15-letter reply to an answer. Much like you always win you usually win in your second season, right, Ainge? He says, no, I don't usually win. I always win. Aha, we got it. I always win in my second year. That fucking headline has been extrapolated into he said he's going to win. And then when they tried to, bring it back up, he's like, well, yeah, like if I came in here and said we weren't going to win, that would be being a loser. So of course I'm going to come into it like I want to win. And I think there's a degree here where I agree and where I also try to rebuttal, because I see Ainge as an older gentleman, a guy much like my father's age-ish, you could say. And for me, he does a lot of things that boomer dads do, which is, it's all my fault. That went wrong. This is my fault. When I was a little shithead in school and I beat up a kid and took his wallet, my dad said, that's my fault. That's my problem, but I'm going to handle it. But when the dad's not handling it and shit's getting worse or it's continuing, then there's clearly that it's not working. So I agree with the whole, he got to go if we continue on the path we're on, even with a slight increase, that's not enough. And I've always said the only way that you quell all of it is win the damn game. Win the game. And at a certain point, everyone's a little bit different. And I think Ainge is more rigid than everybody, at least all the Spurs fans that are speaking in any public forum, because even for me, I'm getting to a point where it's like, yeah, I don't know if you continue to try to use this tool that's clearly failed you so many times. Because to me, at that point, now you're just making dumb decisions, and those dumb decisions can be your ass. And if we're going to that juncture because he wants to, like, I am the same guy who I believe in the Alamo, bro. In Texas, they drill it into your brain. Never forget that little tiny building. It's so small. I saw it in real life. It is so small, but they make you think it's this big ass thing. Anyway, it's like a mentality, I know the odds are stacked against me. I know this isn't going to work, but I'm going to do it because it's who I am. And this is what I stood for. And it led to something greater. What we're doing now, I don't know that it leads to something greater. And that's where my fear is. That's where my doubt is.
And that's the point.
That's what I think some of
that it being roulette.
Yeah.
It might,
true.
it might
Yes.
not, and,
Yeah.
and that's the thing that I think he needs to accept, which is that if it doesn't work, he's going to look really, really bad, and he's going to fall flat on his face.
I think one of the biggest things with Ange, especially right now, is his job lies on this window. He needs backup. He needs this board to show that they're going to back him from what they're saying, because we've seen everything come out and say, oh, yeah, they don't want to get rid of Ange. They're not looking at anyone else. They seem to be backing him, but we all know with Spurs, it's all words.
Jords, let me just throw this to you. While I agree with that, you go by the Bellingham brothers and the Mbappe brothers, and you lose to Tamworth, he ain't surviving that.
Oh, 100%. I just mean like he needs the January transfer, and he needs players back up, because I think
it could be what saves him, because where we're headed is down. That's
we're going to need players to get us through some of these games, because we've got Newcastle coming up, we got Tamworth, we got Liverpool, we got Arsenal. We got a tough 4 games. Apart from Tamworth, 3 of those games, if he loses all 3 of those, and I was going to say, we'll probably do another boardroom talk straight after that Arsenal game on the Thursday. We're probably going to have to evaluate this position of where Ange is at really seriously, because there's some tough games, but we need to pick up points. But before I go to Mr. Box Office to get his final thoughts on that, we do have another super chat. Shout out to 7-inch Destroyer. Huge pause on the name, the picture, everything there. But
yeah,
big
that's
up
crazy.
to you
The pictures.
on a super chat. Please don't remind me of the Ajax game. I got PTSD. Shout out to you. Shout out for the super chat. We appreciate you. But Mr. Box Office, just taking it all the way back. I know it's been a while since Jay left. Ash left now. Sorry, but do you take a League Cup or an FA Cup, and this season's all right? This season's a success per se, and you keep Ange?
I'll say if he wins the Carabao Cup, I'll give him a Blue Peter badge. Say, well done for the memories, mate, and then bye-bye. Sorry. Like, I'm sorry, I stick by what I say. The guy's proved it to me already. He's just bring it to me. It's given me what I've seen already. He's not a coach. And that's the deal breaker for me all day long. I'm sorry, I've said all the other stuff on Mr. Box Office TV, why I cannot back Ange on Mr. Box Office TV, giving you every single reason why I can't back him. And one of the reasons, like I said, right, is that he doesn't adapt and he's not made anyone better, right? So for me, the players are going to go stale. Why he can't use the youngsters is fathom for me. When Pochettino was in charge, it didn't take him 18 months to sort this to get to know his players. He had 12 months, and he had young players. Yeah, and that guy went through Wembley, played at Wembley for 2 years. He still got top 4. He still got the best out of the players. He got the best out of Sissoko, who he didn't even want. That shows you what he is all about, a coach. A coach. I'm not even saying now, Mourinho wasn't that bad. With his squad, well, let's be honest here, if Mourinho had this squad,
Mourinho's a special one.
He'd be cooking.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
This is life.
But we fucked it up. We had our chance with Jose. We fucked it up. We had our chance with Conte. We fucked it up.
If Conte had this squad, yeah, he's got 3 centre-backs.
Yeah.
He's got midfielders. He's got wing-backs. He'll be cooking with this squad.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't think anyone's ever said Ainge is a better manager than Conte or that a better manager than Jose. I certainly haven't.
I'm sorry. This guy is just so... People make so many excuses for him, yeah? And he's getting backed. I stick by what I say, because any other manager, Sav has already got the stats. We got the Football Heritage TV, right? He's already got the stats for me, right? This guy, right, he's got a bad win percentage and is worse than bloody Christian Gross.
That's fine. That's fine. I think the win percentage stuff is just it's off the back of us being so poor.
Yeah, you could pick a lot of stats off of the run form that we're in.
Listen.
So it's not a good. Like you're going to have these types of stats, and looking at the numbers is looking at something without context, just like looking at GA, but not.
Yeah, but George, whatever we say, we can dismiss it how much you want. Right?
Yeah, well, you could dismiss as much as you want. We're second in the goals table.
Listen. What
does that mean?
I don't really care.
Nothing.
Listen.
But it's a fact.
We are so predictable.
Yeah, it's I can't debate it. We're number 2, Alex.
We're not very good at playing football. We're not very good.
Number 2 in scoring. That's very good. We're number 2 in the table.
Yeah, well, I think we're so predictable the way we play. We don't play great football. to rivals to play good football because we play kamikaze football.
Entertaining,
As far as I'm concerned,
I don't think it's
We lose
kamikaze,
so
and I
many
think the
goals.
word kamikaze is
So
actually
me-
kind of like
I'm sorry.
offensive.
Shout
out my
Get rid
Hawaiians.
of him. I would get rid of him if we could get a proper manager in, like a Areola, Pochettino, Eddie Howe, someone like that. Right? There's some people in Europe as well that you could get as well. Right?
Do you say
I would take
Pochettino
them-
in that list of managers?
I know,
he
I
has
know
a job.
Pochettino can't come here, but I'm just saying a manager like him.
Yeah, hands
like
off
him.
my nation's manager.
But that's all I've got to say, right? And I'm sorry if they're available right now, I'll get rid of him tomorrow.
I hear it, and I think it's
That's
understandable.
all I've got to say.
I think you're fine to feel that way. By the way, I want to just throw out there. I'm okay that everyone has their opinion on what they want or what they think should change. I'm totally cool with all that. I have no issues with any of that. I just challenge it because I feel differently, and that's why. Big up, Alex. I just think that I disagree on the sense of that Ainge isn't a good coach. I just think he's having a really rough go at it right now, and if things continue this way, he's got to go.
Can I ask you, Jacob, why do you think Ange is such a good coach?
Good question.
Why do I think he's a good coach?
Yeah,
I like the mentality that he brings. I like the winning mindset that he's trying to instill in this group of players. I liked initially watching our games under him. They were very exciting, very fun. But then this year, when the players were failing to be 15% effective in the final third, that to me was like, all right, we're falling out somewhere here. And I never felt like it was Ainge's tactics that didn't. Because Ainge's tactics, like if they were even 20% effective at doing the final third bit, our goal differential would be like almost double. Because to me, I look at losses like Newcastle and Arsenal back to back. Both of those games, we scored one off of a Dan Burn own goal, I believe it was. And out of 180 minutes, we created 36 different chances, and one goes in off an own goal. That tells me we are failing to be efficient in the final third. So for me, why I think he's a good coach is he was getting these players who clearly don't like to finish to be able to finish. Brennan Johnson, double digits, and I don't rate him as a player. James Maddison this year barely even started, and he's our leading goal scorer. Like players score in his style of play. When we do Ainge ball, it looks really good and it works very well. When we don't, we have some bad performances. But again, outside of Liverpool, I don't know a performance in which we've been like completely dominated and dismantled. We've struggled and failed to be efficient. Yeah, sorry.
Can I ask you just to follow up? Do you think Ange is a better coach than Brendan Rodgers? Brendan Rodgers. Do you think Ange is a better coach than Brendan Rodgers?
It depends on the barometer, or I guess the scale you're using to weigh it.
Okay, so I'm going to say no. Yeah, but I remember in the summer before we got Ange, a lot of Tottenham fans were like, "I wouldn't take Rodgers." Yeah, you can go see what Rodgers is doing.
I was one of those. Listen, for the record, I was one of those that said I didn't want Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm an Ange inner at the moment, but I'm still not going to look at Celtic in the Champions League and see that they're performing better than they ever did under Ange, under Rodgers. I'm not going to say that's not because it's Ange's team, but I'm going to say, okay, if Ange is such a good coach, and this is me playing devil's advocate, yeah, the Premier League is an amalgamation of all the best coaches in the world. So Ange can be a good coach, but he cannot be good.
Zidane didn't want to manage here. He's highly regarded
around him. Because when you're watching a Kieran McKenna, when I'm watching Tottenham out of possession play, I'm like, do we coach this? Do we coach these players out of possession? Do we coach these players what to do when they've not got the ball? Do these players know what?
I definitely have some questions with that, Jay. I'm with you on that.
Of course.
I mean, even Amarim came into United and said, "Am I supposed to tell him what to do in the final third?" Like, I got you there.
Feel like one thing that I feel like we do have to recognize is, although like we can look at times Ange's tactics and so on and say they do look good at times, the actual coaching, like the coaching the basics of our defense, like the defensive structure and the way that we've conceded goals this season does leave me to question what's going on with the coaching, because we concede the same goal too many times.
I can tell you this for a fact.
I agree, but I agree. But if our higher quality,
Jules, I can tell you this for a fact, right? He tells the coaches what to do, right? So this is all on him, Right, he doesn't do the coaching. He gets his coaching staff to do it, and he tells
There's
them
nothing
what
wrong with
he
that.
wants.
There's a lot of managers that do that. So I don't
but
like
but the point I'm making is though, George, is that he's telling them what to do. Right, he's got a player development guy, Nick Montgomery, who's very well renowned for developing players. He's doing set pieces at the moment, so he's not actually trying to help improve players individually when he's renowned for it. He's got a reputation for it. You know what I mean? Yeah, Chris Davis, who was very well renowned at Leicester.
Now that's something. Chris Davies left at the beginning of the season. Yeah, how much of a hole has that left in our coaching and our tactical setup and what we're doing?
I don't think he was doing actually player development though.
No, absolutely. I'm just looking.
He wasn't even doing that, and he was working with bloody Brendan Rodgers back in Leicester.
Yeah. So listen, obviously, I'll give not having your goalie and your centre backs is a huge thing. Yeah, I don't, and that's why I'm still Anjin, because it's such a big thing. It's not an excuse to me. It's something that's so. I take Alisson, Van Dijk, and Konate out of Liverpool. How are they doing? Like take take Raya, Saliba, and Gabriel out of Arsenal. How are they doing? Like, do you know what I mean? So it's almost, so it is a big thing. It's just, I've already seen the issues that we have, and it's like I can't ignore. Once I made this analogy the other day, and I called it the Emperor's New Clothes with Jords, and Jords might remember it, because essentially I was saying that when you've been so starved of a manager that's offensive and attacks and things like that, then the person can sell it to you like, oh my God, this is so revolutionary and this and that. And you'll drink it down. You'll accept it because you're so not used to having it. But when you really look closer, the motherfucker is naked. Yeah. And that's sometimes how I feel when I watch Spurs. It's like Emperor's New Clothes. It's like, am I getting hoodwinked because I was so desiring a change and a change in style and a change in approach? And now it's here. And I'm looking at this man standing bollock naked, and I can actually realize, hold on, I'm smart enough and logical enough to know that this man's not wearing clothes.
100%.
Yeah, I don't need to pretend to say that I can see it and this and that, because he is a good attacking manager. But when I look at Arteta and I look at Maresca and I look at Slot, these guys,
that was the one.
All these guys can take their foot off the gas. All these guys are not doing.
But Maresca didn't adjust, and that's why they were all upset this last week, right?
True, but what I'm saying, but his default football isn't 90 miles an hour football. Do you see what I mean? So all of these managers who are his peers, are not going to be burning their players out because they don't play the same way. They might have better squads, but my point is do you, whatever the amalgamation of players that we get, do I trust Ange to outpoint these other managers over a 38-game season?
No.
And I'm skeptical. That's my point. I'm not saying no, but he would have to learn a lot. And his bravado, and I like it, his bravado, his energy, this is who we are, mate, this, all that sort of stuff, that is bravado. That is saying, my way is good enough for us to win. And we will see, because there's 19 other managers in the league who also think their way is good enough to win. And I've seen Company relegate Burnley with his way that was good enough to win. I've seen Russell Martin be bottom of the league with Southampton with his way that he doesn't want to change. So my point is merely taking everything into consideration, the injuries, I'm willing to give him more time. But the manager has to help himself. He has to make changes. He needs to tweak things. And I've seen some positive signs. But until we get centre backs back, until we get players back, it's an issue. But if you are burning these man's hamstrings like no man's business, yeah, what am I meant to do? If our rest defense is essentially pressing, why is it that we're the only team that if we don't press out of possession, we're absolute dog shit? Out of possession, we can't do a damn thing. Yeah, if we don't press.
That's on Ange, because Ange is the one that is doing this system, right?
I think it's a
Okay.
bit on Andrew, and also think it's a bit on the players that we have.
Yeah, there's parts where we do win the ball back from the midfield press, and then we give it up on the second pass. That's not Ainge saying to give it away on these passes. Like a lot of the things that these players do, no coach in there any realm of reality is saying, yeah, do that.
This is where the excuses is for this manager.
It's not excuses, Alex, just because you don't like what you're hearing. When players fucking suck, I say it, and they fucking suck.
I'm not having this. I'm not having this.
You're having it. Ainge is your manager. You're having it, baby.
I'm not having it. Because
yeah, you've been
served. Always
served.
with this manager. It's always with this manager, right? He's the one that's telling them to just attack.
It's not all just this manager.
And then the players, right? Because he was doing it to Johnson. Right, and then they're thinking, "Well, I've got to attack," and they're not thinking.
Bro, Johnson doesn't run forward with the ball at his feet. I don't know what you mean.
Because there's times where you can just recycle the ball and just be pragmatic. And what I mean pragmatic, just recycle the ball.
We did that a lot last year where we went into the Horseshoe Hotspur and we lost those games when we were doing Horseshoe Hotspur.
Yeah, but sometimes it's just about composure and dictating the game, and we ain't got that. That's the point. Fulham have got Sanderberg and bloody Lukic, and Sanderberg came from bloody Sheffield United, and he's a better midfielder than what we got right now.
Who the fuck is Lukic? I know. I've said that on my watch alongs.
I do have to run, but I want to make a
me too.
Look, my son is 9. He plays football quite high level, and kids football and professional football these days are not too dissimilar. Postecoglou's football is set up for when you are dominant in a league, because in his system, if we were in the Championship or League One, we wouldn't be pulling hamstrings, because one, the players aren't as technical, the players are not as quick, and so
that's a good point. I think that's a good point.
There's less stress on the body.
Exactly.
When I see Udogie literally on in the 6-yard box, and then we lose the ball, play breaks down, Trent knocks it long to Salah. These are just examples. Now he has to pelt like Usain Bolt to get back. You're mashing up your hamstring. That's why you're in 6s and 7s. You can't do it. The main reason why I fell out of love with Ange is because he's not realised that the Prem, when I talk about the Prem being the best league with the best managers, you have to acknowledge what's your surroundings. You can't. That style of play works in the Dutch league, maybe even in the French league, but it's not going to work in the Prem. And then the last thing I won't have is this. Your job as a manager, like any manager, is to bring the best out of players. It's your job to make these players look good, not to make them look bad. Archie Gray playing out of position and then playing a system that is quite complex, because playing his style, this high line, is even difficult for defenders. That's why Dragusin is finding it quite difficult to play in, and he's been playing as a centre-back all his life. Now you're asking a 18-year-old who you should be protecting to now play that same way is ridiculous. Just like Emerson Royale, you're asking Emerson Royale against Liverpool to do the inverted on the wrong side of the pitch against Salah. What the hell was he going to do? He weren't going to do jack. And then we're all sitting there as the goals fly in against Liverpool, when all you had to do was, look, lads, we ain't got the talent today. Let's just think out the place. Let's hold tight. Do what you know to do. Maybe if they didn't push high against Liverpool, we don't get beat like that. But when you're asking players to play in a position that's alien to them, in the way that you want it to be played, you are asking for failure. I wouldn't ask my 9-year-old.
I do
want to just one point, because sorry, sorry, Jacob. Because the point is, I just want to cement on that is that's when once the fun stops with the player rotations and you look at it for what it is, and you say, okay, Porro's in central midfield, Udogie's is playing as an inside forward, Benton Core's at a false 9 position or something. And now what you've got is you've got players who, why does one believe when these players get rotated into these spaces consistently, that they're able to perform those duties and roles better than the players that actually play there 24/7. Yeah. So what you get is suboptimal performances. We're playing well in spite of this, but you're rotating players into incorrect positions because that's how we create chances, by player rotation. That to me is a real flaw in what we do, because that directly leads to, like Deji said, players being out of position, players having to sprint back when we turn over the ball, because the players, and this goes to your point, Jacob, which is supporting your point, the technical prowess of players isn't good enough, you know. But you're also, and this is what before I want to hear your thoughts on this, is I feel you can go too far on either end of the spectrum. Yeah, you can go one side and you say, hey, we're too defensive with Conte and Mourinho, but you can also be too attacking. So when you're too defensive, you're asking the players to constantly be in a defensive state of mind, understand the danger, defend properly. When you're too attacking, you're asking players to constantly, man, seriously, heavy work. You're asking people to literally, you know, constantly attack, constantly be creative, constantly. And I think Jacob's right. We don't necessarily have the players for it. Is it easier to buy a full new squad and develop it? Or is it easier to get a manager who can get the most out of this squad?
I'll be honest.
So
I generally think that to be honest, I generally think the biggest problem for us, and when you talk about defending in transition and being out of the ball with possession, is I think that number 6 role is so key to this system. If he had a solid 6, someone that could shield the defense, but as well as play out and build the ball out from the back a lot more comfortably, because I think one of the biggest issues is
what's crazy is the data points you to a Højbjerg. When you do
But
that, when you look at those things, the data points you to a Højbjerg. When we got it's crazy. I know. But there's
he doesn't play with the number 6. That's what he said. That's what we just
well, he said he doesn't play with 6s, 8s, or 10s. He says he likes 3 midfielders who could do all 3. Now, again, for right or wrong, like, I'm not at any level qualified to say this is what is right, this is what he must do. Like, that's not me. I'm just giving my observations. I see Ainge as a manager who, at every level, wherever he's been, that overhand right works. He knocks motherfuckers out with that overhand right. It wins him belts. But he's getting to a stage where you might land that overhand right, but the dude ain't passing out. So now what do you do? And now he's running, and it's like it's where rock meets a hard place, or whatever the saying is. I can't think of it. It's someone more elegantly can say it, but I think it's a matter of he's so like, but my overhand right, I know it has got me here, so I'm going to continue.
I think it's worse than that, and I'm sorry guys, I do have to go now. I think he's gone from middleweight to heavyweight.
And still thinks he can overhand right these heavyweights. You might, that's probably a good additive to the because yeah, what the overhand right might work against the middleweight, the lightweight, but it ain't working against the heavyweight. And there's probably a lot of truth to that, because like it's clear he's continuing to say, nah, put my head down and go forward, bro. You got to turn right, you got to turn left, you got to twist a little bit, and it's like to a degree he has, but to a degree he hasn't.
Even Mayweather is not stupid enough to allow himself to get a right hook by Wilder or Anthony Joshua. He's not stupid enough. He knows he's going to get.
Yeah, he's getting there with Conor McGregor.
Our guy wants to be a Mayweather and go up against Usyk and think he can win.
What we have seen is you can go up weights and win, because you've seen a cruiserweight that's running the heavyweight division right now. So.
You know what Ange reminds me of? Like, he reminds me of Errol Spence before he took on Crawford. Yeah, like as in like, yeah, I know what's going on. And then you meet a heavy hitter, like, and everyone's a heavy hitter in the Premier League. Everyone's throwing bombs, and I think that's a really good analogy. The question,
not just that they're technical too. They have ideas for, okay, he got the overhand right. Like, you look at Fulham, a lot of the managers that y'all have mentioned today in this stream alone, and we could go on and on with the list, but they know he wants that overhand right. So what do? They adjust, they tactically plan for it, and now they catch you in different ways. And we've seen that from lower quality teams, even with this heavily rotated side. Sorry, Jay, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but to accent your point, because I think you're right. Like, the overhand right is going to work for so many times, and occasionally it's going to get you that big win like we've seen. But when everyone is a good the top of the league fighter in a sense, they're all going to game plan for you. They know what you want. They know, oh, he's all right. He's doing the overhand right thing. And now you got to have a little bit of an adaptation. I do agree to an extent. And we're seeing that.
The one thing I think Aaron just definitely fell short on is probably recognizing that this league is full of top managers. He's not the only good manager. There's full of literally Thomas Frank, great manager, tactically up there with the creme de la creme. We talk about Iraola, Garcia. These are managers that manage mid-table clubs, but tactically they are top. And they prepare
for me, Thomas Frank is naive, clueless, kamikaze, suicidal, whatever negative anecdote you could give to his defense. They've conceded more goals than us.
They have, but I generally think I think Thomas Frank tactically is really good. I think we'll see that in the Arsenal game coming up as well. We saw that in the Arsenal game. They're just a bit unfortunate in the game before. But shout out to everyone that has been tuned in. This has been a legendary stream, man. This boardroom talks has been good, man. The energy's gone up, it's gone down. We've spoken on everything, and as the people have said, man, this is definitely going to be back real soon. I think we're going to aim for the 16th. We're going to see on the dates when everyone works out, when everyone's free and so on. But the 16th, we're going to aim for that day straight after that Arsenal game, the day after, so we can really evaluate where this team is, what current position is. So not straight after Arsenal game, but the day after.
Little nervous laughter out of Jay. I feel it too.
My thing, I think these are very healthy because I think there's some great points that everyone's made, and like even the comment section has been great tonight because there's like some people are saying about the team, some people are saying about the investment. Box office is saying the coaching. I think the coaching is a good point. It's like how many of the players that we've got are organically just developing versus are being coached into being better players. And I think when you do look at the likes of a Marco Silva and when you do look at the likes of a Thomas Frank, I get where you're going, Jacob, but they have clearly inferior players to us. Do you know what I mean? So I'm seeing them competing and I'm seeing these players developing. And even just when you see Gravenberch and Trent with Slot, how they're specifically saying how he's helped them and how he's tactically improved them. And then I see Porro playing central midfield, and I'm like, oh man, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? So it's I'm still with it, but it's like you guys say, I mean, how long's a piece of string? If you want to be a credible club, there's only so long. United are behind us, but they've swapped their manager. If United go above us, or we drop down to 13, 14, 15, how long is everyone's patience?
No, and I agree. And to something you brought up, I know we're ending, but Jay mentioned balance. Like too much in one direction is a bad thing. And I absolutely agree with that. It's like you could eat a healthy food, but if that's the only food that you eat, you need more to your diet, or else it's just, there's going to be repercussions for it. And so I agree. And I did want to answer Jay says, yes, I do agree. Too much this way is not good. Too much this. There has to be a balance of when to go, when to not. And especially when you're fighting one-handed and still trying to throw the overhand right, my friend, just maybe don't throw the overhand right with a broken arm.
And the last but not least, just is if you really want the job, do everything to keep the job. Because at the moment, the way it's going, he's losing the fan base, he's losing the likes of us who are behind him. And let's be real, I'm not holding my breath for the next couple of games. The Newcastle game is already, we've lost that game. The game after that, we've lost. I can't see how we're going to beat Liverpool with this team. And as for the Arsenal game, I've decided to book a one-way ticket to Thailand, and I'll be on a yoga retreat because I don't want to get the kind of backlash Lampard what I'm about to see from my club.
It's not going to be
big up Deji, man.
That day, most definitely not. But big up again to everyone that has been inside. Big up to all the people that are in the chat. Big up to BSB for the raid as well as a gal. I think we've still got just under 150 people in here. If we can just get a few people, I think we're 10 likes away from 100. Before you head out, please make sure you smash the like button on the video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, but not just my channel, to all of the guests. Their channels are in the descriptions. Deji, thank you for coming on. Jacob, thank you for coming on. Mr. Boxer, thank you for coming on. Jay, again, thank you for coming on. It is much appreciated. And again, big shout out to everyone that has super chatted today. It was the first show that we could super chat. Beans and Toast, shout out to you. NSG, shout out to you. It's 7-inch Destroyer, pause, shout out to you. And Francis, I didn't get round to number one. Congrats on Jords on the channel. Come on, you Gunners. Haha. Big up to you for the support. It is much appreciated. We will be back tomorrow with a Newcastle preview with Geordie Dread, Loaded Mag, and Henry Wright, or Henry Talks Football. So make sure you tune back in to 2 p.m. tomorrow. And this stream's going to take you straight over to Never a Foul. So head into the Never a Foul stream and just drop a Jords raid, show your love. But yeah, man, big up for everyone that has been tuned in. It's been a great stream. Boardroom Talks. We will be back in 2 weeks.